Hi students, welcome back. Today we will learn a new chapter from history, the East and the West era of exchanges. First, two major trade routes of the medieval period. These routes extended from eastern China to western Europe. These trade routes, which connected the east and the west, were known as Silk Route and the Spice Route. Silk Route was a land route, while the Spice Route was through sea. These routes passed through different trade centers. The comparatively weak trade between the east and the west got a fillip with the beginning of the Crusades. The Italian traders were engaged in long-distance trade with the Eastern European Empire and the Arabs. They had trade relations with towns like Baghdad, Damascus, and Jerusalem. Next, we move to the impact of strengthening of commercial contacts between East and the West. First one, the rapid increase in production, diversity of products, construction of roads and bridges, effective steps to control thieves and robbers resulted in the strengthening of the commercial contacts between the East and the West. Next, the cities of medieval world. Ancient Roman cities once again became active around the 11th century. In addition to them, new cities also sprang up. The cities which developed around the castle of the nobles. Cities emerged around churches and monasteries. Cities sprang up with the expansion of markets. In the medieval period, the peasants brought their products to the trade centers. The merchants and the craftsmen stayed in the trade centers and conducted long-distance trade. These trade centers eventually developed into cities. Coinage had no significance in feudalism, but the emergence of different markets at various places of Europe made the coinage a necessity. By the 13th century, the Italian cities of Florence and Venice began to mint their own coins. Compared to other European regions, the Italian cities had more favorable conditions such as the ports of Italian subcontinent and the concession provided by the Italian cities to their merchants. Thus, the Italian cities of Genoa, Pisa, Venice, Florence, etc. emerged as great commercial centers from 1015 to 1300 CE. As the transportation of merchandise through the rivers was comparatively easy, many cities began to develop on the banks of the rivers. This facilitated large-scale exchange of articles. The facilities provided by the rulers for the production of commodities in the trading centers and the increase in population were the other factors that helped the development of new cities. The medieval European cities were not similar to the modern cities. They were generally small in size. The roads of these cities were narrow and unhygienic. The buildings were built of wood and were thatched with hay. The possibility of an outbreak of fire was very high as these cities were overcrowded. Majority of the city dwellers were merchants, craftsmen, and laborers. The laborers of the cities were poor and hence they depended on others for their livelihood. the cities dependent on the villages for food and fodder. Next, the forts surrounding the cities. The fort marked the boundary of villages and the beginning of towns. In order to enter the towns, there were gates, guard rooms, fort, and towers. Special arrangements were made for the collection of taxes at the town gates. Next, curfew. At 8 o'clock every night, a bell rang in England for the people either to extinguish or to cover the fire. This was to avoid the outbreak of fire in the cities. This regulation, which was implemented in England, is called the curfew. Repeat it again. Two major trade routes of the medieval period are Silk Route and Spice Route. Next, impacts of the strengthening of the commercial contacts between East and the West, the rapid increase in production, diversity of products, construction of roads and bridges, effective steps to control thieves. Next, features of European cities. Small in size, the roads were narrow, the buildings were built of wood. Hope you all understood what we learned today. We will meet in the next class with the rest of the portions. Thank you.